Hi, I'm Johnny Temple from Akashic Books, and I'm pleased today to be speaking with former NBA star, author, and political activist Etan Thomas. His most recent book is We Matter, Athletes and Activism. Greetings, Etan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Today's maybe my wife's anniversary. We're still quarantined in here, so we're not, moving around too much. A lot of homeschooling around here, but it's a tough time right now for everyone.
Before we talk about the events of 2020, I want to speak to you a little bit about the events of 2003. I believe you were one of the first, if not the very first, professional American athlete to take a stand against George W. Bush's invasion of Iraq. One of the things that I find so remarkable about that is that you were a young player at the time. I believe you might have been in your third season with the Washington Wizards.
Right.
We've seen what happened with Colin Kaepernick, what happened to his job after he took a knee. So I'm wondering, in 2003, were you worried about your job?
I mean, honestly, I didn't even think about all of that. I just kind of felt it and I just did it. I talked a lot with my grandfather who actually served in a Korean conflict. It was called the Korean conflict. And we talked about it a lot. And he said, we fought so that you have the right to speak out against anything you want to speak out against, whether it's the war, whether it's whatever. And that, really gave me the push to really want to speak, because I was looking at it, and it was right after 9/11 happened. And then all of a sudden we started going to Iraq. And I was like, wait a minute, why are we going to Iraq? What does Iraq have to do with this? And everybody just jumped on it. And George W. Bush, he sold it. And I remember watching Colin Powell give his address when he was talking to the UN. He was like, we think there might be weapons of mass destruction. We don't really know. And I'm like, wait a minute, we can't go to war off of this. So I just spoke out. And I'm in D.C. playing for the Washington Wizards, a place that has a lot of political energy. And I just spoke out, and I started writing, poems about it and performing them around D.C., some small venues, some big venues. And then there was this real big venue with like thousands of people right on the mall. And I was one of the main speakers, and I performed my poem. And that's really what went viral before going viral was a thing. But because remember, we didn't have social media back then. It's crazy to think of a world where there was no social media, but we didn't have it. And, I was fortunate that, the CEO of the Wizards at the time was Abe Pollin, the late Abe Pollin. And it just so happened that his son was at the rally, and they are, Democrats, and they were against the war, and that, you know what I mean? So that just happened to happen like that. But if it was different, then, my job probably would have been in jeopardy.
You never seem to slow down in your quest for social justice. Can you tell me a little bit about what you have been doing since the murder of George Floyd on May 25th?
Well, interestingly enough, I just went on CNN about 2 days ago with Emerald Garner. And she is somebody that I've been working very closely with. Actually interviewed her for my book, We Matter, Athletes and Activism. And I interviewed a lot of the family members of victims of police brutality. And so I've been doing a lot of work with them in particular. So one of the things that Emerald's trying to do is pushing for the Eric Garner law to be, passed. And that law outlaws the use of a chokehold, which killed her father, Eric Garner, by any New York Police Department. And it also has federal implications as well. And so that's something that she's really been passionate about. I'm blessed to have the platform that I have. And so using that to really help push the cause, and the cause is to reform police, the entire police system.
One of the unusual things about your book, We Matter, is it has dozens of interviews with famous athletes and other public figures, but you chose to start the book with your conversations, your interviews with family members of victims of police murders.
Right.
Why did you start the book that way? One might think that a better hook would be to start the book with an interview with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or one of the other very famous people.
That was around the time when Kaepernick, first took a knee, and a lot of people were reacting to Kaepernick taking a knee. And the conversation was, well, is this anti-American? What about the veterans? What about, and the whole conversation shifts. And I was like, well, no, I don't even want to start off entertaining that conversation. I want to bring it right to what all of this is about. The reason why Kaepernick took a knee, the reason for the protest, the reason what we're trying to do right now and highlight this issue of police murders and accountability, non-accountability. And so who better to talk to directly than the family members of victims of police brutality and police murders? They physically lost their loved ones. You know, so speaking to like Trayvon Martin's brother, Javaris Fulton, and he doesn't like to talk, you know, and I mean, I've done different events with him, and he's, you know, always said this, and I could come and stand in solidarity and stand with you, but I don't really like to talk. I'm like, you don't have to say a word, you know. So it was really amazing even to be able to get him to interview with me for the book, and he wanted to do the interview. So one-on-one, he was cool, but he doesn't like talking in big. And his interview was so, it was so, I got to tell you, I was sitting there interviewing him, and, you know, my eyes started watering with some of the things that he was saying. I mean, those interviews with Valerie Castile, Eliza Castile, which is Philando Castile's sister, with Tiffany Crutcher, with Emerald, and Javaris Fulton, who's Trayvon Martin's brother. Those 5 interviews were the most difficult interviews that I've ever done in my life. By far, like not even close.
In light of the struggle for police reform and racial justice, how important is it that Joe Biden defeats Trump in November in the US presidential election, or is that not really where your focus is?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, we can focus on a lot of different things. And right now you're seeing people from all walks of life, all colors, all nationalities, all, you know, religions, all backgrounds, they're all tax brackets, all, you know, both sides of the political aisle. Everybody is standing in solidarity and coming out and speaking out and showing that what has been happening far too long cannot keep happening. You're seeing all of it. I mean, honestly, to make it even more plainer, this is the most white people that I've seen protest for, you know what I mean, a cause directly with black people that I've ever seen. That's the only way I can say it. And it's been beautiful to see, you know. And then, yes, you've seen different situations where things have gotten out of hand. You've seen different situations where the police have also instigated things. You have all of this happening right now, but Trump, you know, using the platform that he has, he comes out and says, almost gives the military or urging them or pushing the police to use more force. Be more forceful. Don't be weak. Use more force. And then you see all these different police all across the country using more force. I just saw this video this morning of this older guy. He had to be like 75, and he was walking up to the police. This is an older white man, and the police were in unison going. And it's like he tried to say something to him, and they pushed him down. He fell on the ground. His head started bleeding, and they didn't even tend to him. You just see the lack of, you know, of humanity in it. And so it's like, wow, if they are going to do that to a 75-year-old, you know, white man, you know, in front of everybody, I don't have a chance. We have to have different leadership. Like, it's not even a you know, if you feel like it, if you're happy with the, you know, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Biden was probably, you know, not in my top 10 of choices. I mean, and then yes, we can have the argument that no, we should not have to choose between the lesser two evils. Yes, we know that Biden's past, and yes, we know different things that we can put out about Biden, but he is not Trump. Trump is Trump. And that's a whole different level of evil. So, I mean, when you have that as the situation, you can't say that I'm not going to vote for Biden because my person didn't, you know, get the nominee. You can't do that, because that's a vote for Trump. And we cannot have 4 more years of this cat. Like, we cannot.
Were you put off by, and I don't want to go into this too deeply, but were you put off by Biden's comment when he was being interviewed that if you vote for Trump, you ain't black?
I think Biden told a bad joke and didn't know how to relate to people. And honestly, that's what I thought. That's what I got from it. And I think he's not the best speaker. That's the only thing I can say. He's not the best. Like, when it was so interesting, the reaction from that, though, because then you had all these people from the right saying, oh, that Biden is racist. I'm like, I know you didn't say anything about somebody being racist. You support Trump. You know what I mean? We can talk about somebody who made an offhand, terrible joke that he shouldn't have made, and is a quirky, weird ally that, you know what I mean, but he's still an ally. That's one thing. Now we're talking about Trump. That's a whole, like, they have no business even calling anybody a racist. So I think it got blown out of proportion. But, I mean, he apologized. He took onus of it, and, you know, that's it. But we have bigger fish to fry. We have much bigger fish to fry than Biden and his bad joke.